All right, Mike Eckler to lead Huskers special teams. The veteran college assistant coach and Nebraska native Mike Eckler has been named as the Huskers special teams coordinator, joining head coach Matt Rule's Nebraska staff. Overall, Eckler brings more than 2 decades of college football coaching experience. And this is a quote from Matt Rule on Coach Eckler. And I quote, Mike Eckler brings the history of special teams excellence to Nebraska. Rule said his work with Tennessee special teams has been elite. Regardless of what statistics you look at over the past 4 years, Tennessee special teams have been at or near the top of the nation. Mike's energy and true passion for special teams carries over to the players and his units, and that will have a positive impact on our program. End quote. Now, before I proceed with some of the things that were sent out to the media today, like if you just Google Mike Eckler and just Google pictures, Mike Eckler pictures, and I think I put one of these out on social media, you're going to see him as a Kansas State, we'll forgive him for this, the Kansas State jersey, but he played for Kansas State, linebacker. Dude, the dude is like, the eye black is insane, the intensity is insane, and I mean that in a phenomenal way. Like, there's pictures, this dude is an intense dude. And then you'll see pictures of when he coached here at Nebraska. The intensity on his face, the emotion that he gets out of his players. And they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Just look at like 4 or 5 pictures and it's going to be worth 4,000 or 5,000 words. The intensity, the emotion, the passion that he brings. Okay. And some of the greatest coaches of all time have been calmer type coaches. Look at Tom Osborne. All right. Look at John Cook. Very calm type coaches. When I look at Nebraska's coaching staff, I'm like, man, I'd love to see somebody out of all the coaches. You got to be true to who you are. I've talked about that in the past. You can't be fake, can't be a facade. Players will see through it, won't buy into it. But I'd love to see somebody who is just that way, like authentically just passionate. And they're all passionate, but like it's insanely intense in a good way. And that's what I see out of Coach Eckler on top of the success that they've had at Tennessee. All right. Eckler is a graduate of Blair, Nebraska High School and a Kansas State University graduated from Kansas State University and previously coached for 3 years in Nebraska from 2008 to 2010, helping Nebraska to a pair of Big 12 championship appearances. Eckler said, and I quote, I'm unbelievably excited to have the opportunity to come back to Nebraska and join Coach Rule's staff. I love what Coach Rule is building at Nebraska, his hard-nosed approach, and his vision for making Nebraska special teams the best in the nation. I was born and raised in Nebraska. My parents live in Fremont, so this is home. I grew up in Memorial Stadium watching my uncle, All-American Bob Martin, play for the Huskers. One of the highlights of my coaching career was being at Nebraska from 2008 to 2010. Each stop in my career since has molded me into a better coach, and I appreciate everyone who has impacted me and prepared me for this opportunity to come back to Nebraska and help get this program back to the top of college football. End quote. And I think I referenced maybe last week sometime, I did a speaking engagement in David City, and he's actually from David City specifically. He's got a ton of family there. And it was interesting. I have all sorts of people who want to send me stuff and send me information and tell me information, which is very, very helpful. It can also be challenging when you're trying to figure out who and what to trust. At this point, I've kind of got a circle of people that I trust. And to break into that isn't impossible, but you got to prove yourself over time. But I'm talking to these people and I'm like, this is literally his family. So they were reaffirming things that I'd already been told by people I trust. And at this point in time, he had not yet been hired. Like, he wants to come back. He's been interested since day one when they relieved Ed Foley of his duties. He's like, this is where he wants to be. This is his home. And so it was nice to hear what I'd already been told from people that I trust, but hearing it like legit straight from his family members' mouths who were excited to talk about it at that point in time. So this is a place that Mike Eckler wants to be. It's a place that matters to him. Born and raised Nebraskan through and through. All right. During Eckler's 4 seasons at Tennessee, the Vols won 37 games, including a 10-3 record and trip to the college football playoff in 2024. 11-2 record, Orange Bowl victory in 2022. Tennessee ranked either first or second in the SEC in punt return average in all 4 seasons under Eckler. I'm going to read that again. Tennessee ranked either first or second in the SEC in punt return average in all 4 seasons under Eckler. When you hear that, what pops into your head, Jake?
Just success. I mean, that's hard to do, to lead the conference in anything for that long.
You know, we don't even average 5 yards per punt return for the past 2 years. 4.7 last year. And I didn't even look at 2 years ago, but I remember talking about it 2 years ago. I think it was even less than that. I don't know how you don't get excited about that. Now, it doesn't guarantee immediate success, but it is 1,000% fair to expect immediate improvement as we build and maybe immediate success. I mean, we've got guys who can return. Andrew Marshall from Idaho. You got Ja'Cory Barney. You got all these guys who can be potential returners. All right. Now, I remember interviewing Johnny Rodgers. Oh, gosh, this was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And we had just started to notice more fair catches in the game of football, period, but especially in college. They hadn't implemented the new kickoff, any of these special teams changes. Like right now, you can pretty much fair catch it anywhere ball goes to 25. Like none of that had been implemented yet. And I asked him about fair catches. He goes, I refuse to fair catch. Now, I've not watched every Johnny Rodgers punt that he received or had kicked his way, but I trust the man when he goes, to me, it was a challenge to return every kick. And I felt insulted at the thought of even like putting my hand up for a fair catch. Now, the game of football has evolved. It changes, sometimes for the better. Sometimes it takes a while to figure out it was for the worse and then bring the median curve back to the good side of things. I don't know. Just me, like, when I played quarterback in high school, I had never ran out of bounds unless, we needed the clock to stop. Like, I was always going to hit somebody. Probably a good thing I went to defense and didn't stay with quarterback. But that was my mentality. And if I was a returner, like, I would just be like, I am not fair catching this thing unless that guy's just going to take my head off. All right, like he's bearing down. Of course, how can you even see that if you're trying to catch the actual ball? Punts are hard to catch. Kickoffs are easier, end over end. The punts, they're literally floating back and forth almost in the air to a degree like a knuckleball, okay, in a baseball game. All right. Under Eckler, the Vols did better than 15 yards per punt return. In both 2024, they averaged 15.7 yards per punt return. In 2022, 16.5 yards per punt return. Over the past 4 seasons, Tennessee's cumulative average of 13.9 yards per punt return led the nation. I'm going to read that again. Tennessee's cumulative average of 13.9 yards per punt return led the nation. Thoughts on that, Jake?
I mean, it would be such a difference from what we've seen around here in special teams for the longest time. I can't even really think, maybe back to DPE when you really had a big threat, but through the Frost years, it seemed like just kind of an afterthought. They were definitely fair catching kickoffs, let alone punt returns. Mm-hmm. There was years where, and I don't think it was quite bad this last year, where they could have had a better return by catching it and falling forward. You'd get like 2 or 3 yards, and they'd average like 1.5. So
he said, just catch it and fall in your face.
It's been really rough. And you talk about losing close games, and the thing that's hurt the program, 15 yards here and there could definitely make a difference.
Oh my God, it's huge. It's 15 yards here and there for any program, especially one like us, where the margin for error is so narrow right now, is huge. I'm 6'6". I could have caught the ball, fallen flat on my face, and gotten us a little over 3 yards. Does that math add up?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Every time, I don't know if I'd have caught the ball consistently, but I could have worked at it. Gosh dang it. All right. Individually, Tennessee produced the SEC punt return average champion in 3 of the past 4 years, including the 2021 SEC Special Teams Player of the Year, Volusia Jones Jr., D. Williams in 2022, and Boo Carter. Yep, that's his name, Boo Carter. And I just wanted to make sure it wasn't supposed to be Bo. So either there's a typo or it's Boo Carter. Love that. Great for Halloween in 2024. Jones and Williams are two of 4 of Eckler's proteges who were starting punt returners in the NFL in 2024. Tennessee also led the nation in percentage of punts downed inside the opponent's 10-yard line over the past 4 years. Led the nation in percentage of punts downed inside the 10-yard line over the past 4 years. Since the start of the 2021 season, 19.4% of the Vols punts pinned the opponent inside the 10-yard line, including 28.3% in 2024. Over the past 2 seasons, Tennessee ranked 2nd in the SEC and 7th in the nation in touchback percentages on kickoffs, 77.5% of the time. And during Eckler's tenure, the Vols blocked 8 punts, and oh my goodness, in 4 years, they gave up a total of 138 punt return yards. I know their average or their total return yardage was almost 1,000. They give up a total, not an average, a total of 138 punt return yards during Eckler's tenure. That's 4 years. I'm just letting that set out in the universe for people to hear. Again, I don't want to come in and say that all of a sudden we're going to be just this awesome special teams unit. Do I believe the potential to be very good is there? Yes, I do. It's part of the reason I went so hard on our special teams last year. It wasn't rocket science. We just weren't doing little basic things. Do I expect this right out the gate to be really, really good? I'm not going to expect that. The potential is there. The talent is there. What is fair to expect is immediate, noticeable improvements. And over time, we'll see how long that takes, I do think it's fair to expect us to be a very good special teams unit, especially if an emphasis is being put on the special teams. All right, Eckler also coached a first-team All-SEC outside linebacker in each of his final 3 seasons in Knoxville. Eckler has spent a total of 20 seasons as a coach at Power 4 schools, including 6 seasons at current Big Ten schools, and has 8 seasons of experience as a special teams coordinator.